Hi, good morning. Today is October 31st, 2019, Halloween. We are beginning our work session. We're beginning a little early. It is 9:15. Just a couple of announcements before we start. The town's bow hunting program has commenced at EPCAL and the town-owned property on Sound Avenue and Middle Road. Bow hunting shall run until Sunday, December 22nd at EPCAL's. Members of the public are advised to stay on the walking paths at all times, including their pets. And please do not enter the woods where active deer hunting is taking place, and it is posted up over there. So please be mindful of the signs and pay attention to what they say. Also, we're asking the public on November 14th at 6:30 p.m. here in Town Hall. We will be holding the public forum on the design of our downtown, what's been called the Pattern Book. This will be an opportunity for residents to take a direct role in deciding what future development on our downtown should look like by speaking with the planners and architects who will be creating the new pattern book for downtown. I encourage all residents to come and have their voices be heard that evening. So again, that will be November 14th at 6:30 p.m. here in Town Hall.
I just wanna talk about that 1 minute. I did speak with the company the other day, Jeff did actually, and I was listening. The forum is going to be that they're going to present first for about 15-20 minutes, and then they're gonna break everybody into groups, and people are gonna be sharing actually in small groups with, someone leading the group. So for some people that maybe are not comfortable coming up to the mic and speaking in front of a large audience, I think it's a comfort zone.
And I apologize, but we need to stand up for the pledge. Tim, you wanna read this?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
And Jim, who's not here
Yeah,
today.
Jim will not be joining us today.
And Jim.
We always.
So today we are going to start off, I know we had started discussing the budget at the last last work session. So, I will open it up to you guys to further that discussion.
Are we gonna have Phil and, or
Yep.
Emily come up?
Morning, Bill.
Good morning.
Morning.
Anyone wanna jump in?
Yeah, I'm gonna just, what we discussed last week, I'm still proposing the, second addition of a second code enforcement officer,
So that would bring the total up to 6 you're looking to do?
correct. The part-time clerk for code enforcement, and the part-time paralegal. I had spoken to code enforcement and to the town attorney's office prior to this, prior to last week's discussion, and I've spoken to them again, and they all feel that this is exactly what's needed. If we need to start taking cases to Supreme Court, this is the route we have to go, short of hiring another attorney.
When I spoke to, and I don't know if you're interested in having them come to the meeting to discuss it with, the last time I spoke to Bob, because we had taken the 255s out of the attorney's office, which I know one of the paralegals there was spending, 50% of her time on, that Bob felt that could be absorbed, that part-time position could be absorbed by the current staff that was in the office to be able to assist, so.
Definitely not the conversation I had with him, so.
So we can ask him to come in for that. Have you asked? John, do you wanna schedule it for next time, or do you wanna have Bob come in this time? What would you guys like to do?
I was gonna ask if we could continue our talking, cause we do have until the second week in November, I believe, so if you wanna wait.
Yeah, let me ask you a question on
Do
that,
it
though.
then.
Your budget was put up for a public hearing. This budget, if we decide to change it, that budget also would have to go up for a public hearing, no?
No, you're having,
You're making an amendment to the one you
The
put
pub-
up,
the
so you
pub-
don't have to repost?
you're listening to the public's comment on the budget,
Right.
right? So, your interpretations are here, you'll listen to the comment, and then you'll see if you wanna make changes.
Okay, and the changes would then have to be done until, prior to November 20th for the
Correct,
public.
yeah, that-
Okay.
But at the
I just
time of
wanted to
the
make
public
sure.
hearing, I think
We
any
can leave the
proposed
public hearing
amendments
open.
to the budget should be available to the public prior to the public hearing, so that they can comment on it. So, I think that these changes should be put up on the town website prior to the public hearing.
Well, you can leave the public hearing open, right? So if there's still amendment and changes going on, you can leave the public hearing open for that.
Yes, because presumably if the public is requesting the change on the 20th, we could still make a change to it.
Right, and I'm anxious,
That's the purpose
I'm
of the
anxious
public
to move
hearing.
to the public
Correct.
hearing and also hear what the public has to say on this.
John, I'm not sure of the logistics of all of that, we'd have to have
I mean-
Bob come and I'm not sure exactly if you leave the public session open.
I mean, we could leave it open, because you guys have left public hearings open in the past and then close them that day and still adopted something, so I
Right,
don't see
so-
why you couldn't do that, like, if you leave it open so you can have more comments. Our next meeting is actually the 19th of November, after next Wednesday, so you could always leave it open if you get more comments, you know, we could technically take them, and try and amend the budget if it's a complete idea with obviously an off the floor resolution, but there's still logistics there.
Yeah.
And the drop dead date for the budget to be passed is?
20th.
Is the
20th of
yeah,
November.
as per our
Yeah,
code.
so I wanna adopt the budget with amendments on November 19th.
So,
So that's why I want all of our proposed amendments should be up on the website, in my opinion, prior to the public hearing. And then we'll listen to what the public has to say about your budget and about our proposed amendments.
So the, I have a manual here that tells you all the timing of it.
Oh,
They
thank
don't-
you.
They don't mention what happens in between, there is a chronological order, and I would just imagine that if there's proposed changes, that would be also available for the
Okay.
hearing. And then if there's a resolution that comes even after that, let's say you listen to what the public has to say and decide you're gonna change it again, that would all be, available for the public to speak on when you propose a resolution. So if there's a resolution to change it to Tim's budget between now and then, to make those changes, then if no one comes up and speaks next week, cause they come here to hear about what's going on, then they would when you're passing when you're voting on that budget itself, they'd be able to come up and speak on that resolution like any other resolution. It's silent as to what interaction is necessary with the public. So I would
When
think
is
that
the
would be
public
the time.
what's the date of the public hearing?
November
It's-
6th.
it's-
November
yes,
sixth.
November, I mistakenly said November 20th
Yeah.
before, it's
Yeah.
November 6th.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, I
So-
do think it's good, I do think it seems like it's good for the public to know the changes that we wanna make before they're speaking, so they know what they're speaking to.
Yeah, and then November 19th, we would do the budget amendments prior to adopting the budget.
You would do that first and nothing but, so I will put another schedule, assuming, the way this goes, I will put.
well, I don't think there's any, okay, but what is it that you're looking to have the public, you have to map out your exact changes,
Right.
that's the thing, so you
Agreed.
need to,
I mean, we
you
can
need
try
to
to
be
have
able
it
to
done
do
by
that,
the
I mean,
public
that's up
hearing,
to you
but-
guys
Mine are done.
to do your
Yeah.
changes.
Mine
Mine
are
are
done.
done too.
I'm still working on it.
So
So you're putting in all of,
Yeah, I'm asking for the second additional,
but,
Go
so
ahead.
you have that, okay, and then Jody, what are you looking to do?
I'm looking to take $30,000 out of fund balance and fund the ambulance corps for the staffing that they need at the Jamesport Fire Department.
So are you guys all putting up separate budgets for people to look at?
No, I'm just telling Bill, and then Bill prepares the resolutions, that it comes out of fund balance and it goes into, personnel, and then that is,
I'm not sure we need to take out a fund balance, I just think we need to transfer around the budget.
but Laura made some really good points last week about how that money was needed for the 25,000 or the 30,000 that they had budgeted for. She made some really good arguments as to how that money was needed in that budget line.
So do you wanna do that
Because it's for the Wading River repeater, so where they thought they had the 30,000, and they said that they didn't need it.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
yes,
You wanna
yes,
leave
I'm
that
sorry.
30,000 in the
Right.
board's control in case that happens there's something happens next year,
Yeah.
you wanna take 30 out of fund
Right.
balance. So do you wanna do it in 19, or you wanna wait till 20 to do that? Cause that doesn't have to be necessarily, something that happens with the budget now. I mean, we can certainly put it up, but it's also something that can happen at any time. You can move 20, you can move 40, depending
Mhm.
on,
I
on what.
think that we need to do it now, and so that it's available to them
but for 2020.
Yes,
Right, okay.
and I think that we need to talk to the town attorney about modifying their contract to include that additional personnel at the Jamesport Fire Department, because.
We don't dictate their contract at all, they provide a service to us.
Yeah.
How they, staff it
Right.
is totally up to
Up to
them,
them.
they're an independent contractor for us, so we don't dictate that at all.
Right, but they have a dollar amount that we give them, and we need to increase that dollar amount by 30,000, so that is contractual.
Well, yes, so the one thing in the contract is, at least as far as the budget's concerned, once we give them that amount in the budget, so you increase it by another 30,000, that's the starting point for the next year's contract.
Yes.
If you wanna give it to them in 20, and you wanna make it separate from the budget itself, so the budget has one number, then you give them another 30 for next year, then it wouldn't be part of the contract for 21 automatically, you'd have to put it in the 21 budget to do that. So it's just a way of not making it permanent. Once you put, like, when we put the original 50,000 in there, it jumped up their contract by $50,000, and that's your starting point. And then you give them their 2% from there. So that's why I'd asked if you wanted to do it for 2020, you wanted to wait. We can still do it for 2020. I can check with Dan, who wrote the contract, how we do that. Maybe the board does want to increase by 30,000, and going forward be 30,000 more, then, you know, we just,
But they want the contract modified.
But if you want the contract modified, then I think we have to put it in with the budget itself, and the budget has to be adopted with that number in it, as opposed to a separate resolution.
I agree. So, and I think it's important to let the ambulance corps know that the town board and the ambulance district supports them in their efforts in trying to maintain the health, safety, and welfare of the residents on both the west end of town and the east end of town.
We have to work with them to make sure that they are okay with having that be part of the it's gotta be a contract negotiation for that.
Yep, they're totally on board with it, right, Tim?
Yes. That's why I said last time, if they had been brought in, like you bring the department heads going over each budget, I think it'd make it a little easier for you, or whoever's doing a budget, to say, okay, you're here, let's hear, you know.
Well,
it's
yeah,
not just blindly.
we'll propose the contract changes to them, and we'll see what their response is.
Okay.
You know, I do not know what their response will be to being told that you have to staff here for this hours and things like that, cause I know that they are flexible on the calls.
Mhm.
And sometimes, you know, I don't know if there's more going on in, you know, outside of Riverhead, or their barn there, or if they move their barn somewhere else, and then they're dictated to also service another area, I'm not sure. So it'll be a conversation with them.
Okay, good.
Right, but I do
Good.
want the budget transfer from fund balance into personnel line for the 2020 budget, just so that they know that that money is there, and that when it comes time and they need support at the Jamesport and on the east end, that money is there for them to access.
Absolutely,
Okay.
it's just a question of how it gets worded in, that it has to be put into the contract, that's
Yeah.
all.
But we can fund it for now, as per their
Good.
request.
Well, okay, that goes back to what Bill was saying, are we giving that to them as part of their contract?
Yeah.
Or are we, in their actual contract number, or do you want that number to be into the district, and then the district gives that money to them, a certain fee,
No.
to then be used for that purpose? Otherwise, it is in their full contract number, which is different, so you guys need to decide how it is that you wanna do it. Whether you want it to be in there, when you look at the budget, if you look at it'll be the contractual amount, whether you want it in the contractual amount, or do you want it to be as an addition, that's given out of the district for that purpose? So you
I
guys
don't
need
want
to
the
figure that.
district to have control of that money, I want the ambulance corps to have control of that money.
Okay, so you want it in the budget.
Yep,
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree with that.
and then,
That way it's there.
and the justices
So-
need an interpreter also, so that's my other point, is that we have to amend the budget to show an income line of, I believe it's $250 a day for an interpreter, and an expense of $250 a day for an interpreter, cause the justice court needs that. So we gotta figure out the number of days that they actually have the courts for code violations, that we need that interpreter there.
So you'll provide all the information to Bill?
Yep,
Can we all kick in and buy lottery tickets just to make the town a little more sound?
And did you want,
I just had some questions on things. Couple things.
so planning.
Not too long.
Planning is still in, planning is still out, what are you doing with that?
Well, based on the news last week that we have an expense, an unfunded mandate from the state, I don't think that, my proposal to increase somebody's salary by 5,000, I'm withdrawing that request and just focusing on health, safety, and welfare. And the $350,000 program that we have to come up with is most important for next year, seeing as it's not budgeted for.
Well, also, I mean, it could be paid out of the capital budget, but you just slashed the capital budget in half, so that is a gap. I don't know how you wanna address that.
I still think, I have to look at everything because things did change in the last week when we got more information, but I still think we need to seriously look at our planning department. I think that our we just don't have enough employees in there, so.
5.5 weeks is an insane amount of time to get a simple building permit.
Yeah, I really wanna
They
look
are
at that.
so
I
backlogged.
haven't, I still think that's an issue, so I have to look into that.
Yeah, and we're backed up because we didn't have a senior building inspector for almost 2 months. And we're backed up because we didn't have a second building inspector for almost a month before we hired somebody. So, that's why we're backed up. We need to get caught up.
I don't think that's the only thing. I mean, I did look at all the other towns, and we have less, people in the planning department than all surrounding towns. And they seem to be backlogged a lot, so that's
I
something
don't
I'm
disagree.
that's something I'm still looking at.
I don't disagree with you, Catherine.
I have a couple questions for Bill. I'll be quick, nothing too long. I'm starting on page 7 of the actuals.
Which one's that? This one?
This one, page 7. In the expenditures,
You mean the supplemental that we have?
yes, correct. Just curious why on this page all the police lines are 0 on here.
Which one are you guys looking at?
Expenditure or revenue?
Expenditures,
Page 7?
yep,
You're looking at the budget supplement,
Okay,
correct?
because we used to have a separate line for that
This is
building,
mm-hmm,
for police and justice court building. And then at one point in the past, we took all of the expenses, so the paper for every department, the electricity and all that other stuff is just one line. If we wanna know how much electricity that building's costing versus this, we simply look at a bill.
okay. On the same page, are we still renting and leasing equipment at Town Hall West? Cause I didn't. Page 7.
That's probably the copier, is that?
Okay,
Yeah.
right. Did we get rid of a part-time employee at B&G? Did someone part-time move up to full-time? What,
No, they used that money to hire their full-time that they did. They had it in the budget and
okay.
they were having a hard time getting part-timers and they needed a
But
full-timer.
I thought so, but I just wanted to confirm that. It looks like our overtime at B&G is coming in lower. I'm wondering why we're budgeting 50,000 still.
Again, on overtime in most of these departments, and we won't know until, I think, November 9th is the last time they can earn overtime.
Mm-hmm.
So during the year, the employees have the ability they earn their overtime, but they put it in comp time. And then by November 9th, they have to tell payroll that they're gonna use this much comp time to take off at the end of the year,
Okay.
or they're gonna buy it out.
Okay,
So if they choose to buy it out, they may be hitting that number, but a lot of them choose to take time. We don't know what it's gonna be. So if they all choose for whatever reason to take the actual money as opposed to the time, we may hit that number.
all right, and why is the B&G repair and maintenance of grounds 161,000 when only 71, the actual was around 72,000 in 2018?
Because that was the same thing where we combined all these accounts, so instead of having, because maintenance grounds for recreation and for building grounds and stuff like that, we added them all together, so they have a big pool to take out of, and they do the emergency ones first. They usually keep that money aside and only do the emergencies until this time of year when they say, we have a handle that has to be done, and
Yeah.
things like that. Okay, all that is done, and then they'll do some other routine stuff.
Okay, on page 8, why are we budgeting 233,800 in IT professional services when we only spent 6,000 in the first 6 months of 2019?
Because what we're doing is that's part of our cloud
Yeah,
solution.
proof of concept.
So we're moving it used to go into equipment and we purchase our equipment. Now what we're doing is, it's gonna be rented from the cloud,
Oh, right.
So we're not
Okay.
actually buying the equipment itself.
Alright, actuals are low in IT professional, ed and training, but the budget is still 6,000.
Yeah, they don't really have time to go on training, although I try to get them to do that. They'll go every once in a while for cybersecurity training that
Mhm.
our IT consultant has. Those will be like half days, or there'll be seminars on seminars or something. We keep it in it because I keep trying to promote them to go to
Yeah, and
training on
certainly I
this.
advocate for training,
Yeah.
so,
So
just
they,
wondered
what
about
they,
that.
what they do is they rely more, is they touch base with our consultants, and they have questions, they'll go to them. They do a lot of research on their own after they've done that.
Okay, on page 9, why is the unallocated insurance, the SIR, there are no actuals, but the budget is 287,500?
And that's how we saved money, last year was in insurance. So we have a budget to put in for claims, okay? And we wait until we run out of cash in order to start sending money over this. So workers' comp, we actually, in this budget, we increased the workers' comp contribution because the liability contribution, and we reduced liability contribution because workers' comp costs are going up, but general liability, because we settled a lot of claims, we were able to reduce that. So we haven't moved money. I think we actually did move a couple $100,000 last month because we had to pay the next 2 months' worth of payments. But we only move it as we need, otherwise we have way too much fund balance. Whatever we don't move, it's savings in every fund that has to contribute. So let's say every fund contributes to workers' comp. It's just self-insured. Instead of paying a policy, a $1 policy, we pay a policy with a self-insured retention, which is similar to deductible, and then everything up to that deductible we pay. Whatever we save, because we haven't gotten hit with some of those, with some cases or claims, then the actual funds themselves save that money because they don't have to contribute to it.
Okay. Still on page 9, are we adding more seasonal, are we adding TCOs? Talks about personnel, police are seasonal. The actuals are lower, but the budget is 160,000.
Well, the seasonals also include, we hire during the summer months, people to work, so that's what the seasonal is, they just work during the summertime.
Well, I know we talked about adding TCOs for the fall traffic. And that's all I have for now, so I wanna think about Tim's proposed changes, and,
Bill, I have,
I'm on board with the, changes for the ambulance, and I'm still looking at planning. I am concerned about the planning. That's where I'm at.
Bill, on page 12, under the Juvenile Aid Bureau,
Right.
Juvenile Aid Personal Services, full-time uniform personnel. There is no longer a full-time uniform personnel in the Juvenile Aid Bureau. There hasn't been for quite some time.
No, there's one officer that's
Evelyn.
paid, that's paid.
They cover it out of the General Detective Division?
That person is allocated to that, that's what
Right,
she works.
that's
That's
what I
the way
mean,
the
they're
chief
using
is.
a detective out of the general
Yeah.
squad to, if a juvenile case comes in, that's how they do it, okay.
That's, yeah.
And that also, I believe, includes, clerical help too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
There's 2 clerical.
Yep, okay.
So I'm glad we're working together on this, and I'm anxious to hear what the public has to say too. I wanna sleep with this budget in bed.
Are there dollar figures attached to the various proposals? Like, I didn't hear numbers.
The
Yeah.
ambulance is 30,000
That I did hear, but like what Tim was proposing.
to 197.
Tim, you
We
gave us
proposed
this.
50,000 for the part-time paralegal.
You want me to give,
Sorry if I just missed it.
I have my
It's a
copy.
total of $135,000 altogether.
And just the one other thing that I know, there's equipment and, desk space and things like that, just to consider that, for, needs to be considered with it.
Well, I'm hoping that when we do hire these 2 code enforcement officers, that they'll be on the flex schedule, so we'll have some people working one shift and then the other people working a different shift, so that we have people out there all the time. So,
I think one of them's a clerical though, And the other one's a paralegal, so that's actually two more people that would need to be
And talking
housed.
to, Rich Downs, they can fit the second clerical person in that room.
And then just computers and everything else. I know it's not a big expense, but it's still
No, understood,
consider.
understood, but I think it's very important and it needs to be done, and I think the community has spoken pretty loud about it, so, we need to crack down on it. And
Yeah, and we need,
there's way more work for them to do than just besides overcrowded housing and illegal rentals also.
right, and we're behind in the code enforcement complaints.
Inspections and everything else are
So-
way behind.
But we need, with more help, we could be proactive, and then they, in my opinion, they'll pay for themselves. So when they see that there's construction debris in front of a house, they can make sure that that house has a permit by going into the system, or be proactive instead
That
of.
would be building though, that would be the planning and building department for
Actually,
the
code
permit.
enforcement
for the
does it
per-
in Southampton.
But the permitting and inspections is done by, through our planning.
I'm saying if you're driving by and you're a code enforcement officer and you see a bunch of construction debris, like sheetrock and insulation and wood and everything in front of a house, you just, now that they have the tablets, they can go online and they can say, okay, 20 Bay Street, do they have a building permit? They can access it right there, and if they don't, they can go knock on the door and say, are you doing construction here? That's how Southampton makes all of their money, by people not coming in and getting permits, and by code enforcement driving around.
Code enforcement does
and-
do that, but I mean, as far as the inspection for the permits, then that would be.
Okay, good, so you agree?
Okay, so. All right, so I look forward to your budget and the changes that you're looking to make, so I guess the three of you need to come to a consensus on that to, it has to be inclusive of everything, so that we can see the numbers. All right, anything else?
I have a quick question, so I'm gonna prepare 2 resolutions, not for the next, meeting, but for the 19th, in anticipation, there'll be 2 separate ones, but what do you want me to put on the website? Do you want me to put the schedule, a new one, and then just highlight the changes on the
Yeah, that'd be
website?
good.
Is how
I
you
think
want
that
me
would
to do
make the most sense and be the easiest for people to read and see.
it? Okay, okay.
Are you putting some from planning in there also? What are you doing with that? I don't,
Yeah, I'm not ready for you to do that, I would like to talk
Well,
with
yeah,
them.
let us
I would
know,
like us to
and-
talk.
Yeah, that's fine.
and Jim, I know Jim had spoke about some changes, do you have those changes from him?
No, he did talk about some changes, he said he was gonna get them to us, but
Alright, so you guys need to just be able to
we
get
still
all of
have a
those
little more
together?
time.
So I think we have consensus here as far as the 30,000 for the ambulance district. I think that we have, I know that you had a discussion with Jim about the, code enforcement, so
Yes.
then we just have to iron away the planning with Catherine and see what we can find out. Even if it's somebody just part-time to help catch up.
Yeah, we'll do. I'm still looking at it, I'm still working my way through everything.
It's not fun.
Well, we have a little time,
It's a
and
daunting task.
I'm anxious to talk again after we hear from the public.
And as I said, I just urge you guys to consider that there are capital improvements in the town that need to be addressed, that have been neglected for a very long time. I think that, we haven't put money into our parks, we haven't put money into our senior center, we haven't put money into the buildings themselves, for how many, we did that last year, but prior to that, I think it had been 10 years, that we haven't, and in the long run, it ends up costing a lot. So, I just, to be considerate of that.
Yes,
I
and I
get that.
think,
I think
get
we
that.
shouldn't do that, moving money out of the capital projects, we shouldn't do
Sometimes-
that lightly, because I agree, you just don't know what comes up, and, it's always a little scary not to have a fund there, so.
Sometimes tough choices have to be made, and, I'd love to have the best playgrounds around, but at this point in time, I think we may not have people living in this town to use those playgrounds. If we run them out with the tax rate that's gonna go up, with all the money's gonna have to,
Well, it doesn't
the
only
school
go to
district's
playgrounds
gonna
though,
have
right?
to.
No, some of it's, the police department needs a roof replacement, that's on there. I think, there's, other capital part, there's a municipal garage, needs a fire alarm installation in there that has not been done, that was, of concern, of great concern. So, just to be
So-
mindful.
So when I went in and met with Bill to discuss the budget, I had asked him when I looked at the capital improvement account, whether or not there was a list provided of projects that you were interested in doing, and he said that there was not. That was just a number that you had come up with. So if you do have a list
No, there's
that
been a
equates
list,
to that money, then please give
Yeah,
it to us.
this is a list that, I'll have engineering send it to you, it's a list that engineering has produced. This is their 220, I mean, some of these things, we have, town hall HVAC, that's, you know, as we know, the boiler just had to be done here on an emergency basis because that was not attended to for years. They have the fire alarm installation over at the municipal garage. Town hall, we know that there's leaks here, there's issues with the roofs. You know, Bayberry Park, there's things that need to be done over there. Reeves Beach, we've done some of those. George Young Community Center is in need, you know, we sort of patchwork the elevator over there. It's the only one with the handicap access. We've patchworked that over there, but that does need, some significant work done on that. There's also some, you know, bulkhead repairs, Wading River on the pond over there, that's been neglected for a very long time. You know, we have some of our paving that needs to be done, that hasn't been done for things, you know, even just the ambulance, the parking lot there, the concrete, the apron repair over
Can I
there.
see that? Because I don't think we got a copy of that. I think that,
Well, you should be getting it because this has been done since 2010, so I find it kind of,
what's it
Never
dated?
got that.
well, this is the 2020
things
one.
Yeah,
that have
so
been
we should
hanging
have this
around
one.
since
I-
2010.
Because
That's what I
we've done a
said.
lot of projects since 2010.
I get that, but there's still a lot to be done. I will have engineering send off their stuff.
Great.
And I'm gonna
Please.
agree with you, Tim, there are tough choices to be made, and I think that's part of our job,
It
to
is,
make the
it
tough
is. It's
choices.
what it is.
But I also wanna make an informed decision, I don't wanna be rash, so I wanna look at everything. And talk with you guys.
All right, anybody else? All right,
No, I'm done with
all
this
right,
thing.
we'll move on to resolutions then. Thank you, Bill.
Hey, Miss Diane.
Hi, good morning. Happy Halloween.
Happy
Happy
I heard a lot of
Halloween.
laughter coming out of your office.
Oh, we always have a good time. Just, these are gonna be,
Okay,
is there enough
these
there?
are still hot.
Hot off the press, right? Last minute, trying to hang it up.
Okay, everybody set?
Oh, good. I'm glad we're doing this.
Okay, one is, do we have extra just for the
Here's-
press?
Oh, sure.
First one is adopts a local law amending chapter 217 entitled Buildings, Building Construction Improvements and Housing Standards for the Town of Riverhead, Part 5 Housing Standards.
What is that?
That's the 217 code with the
Increased
increase
fines.
of fines
Increased
and
fines against landlords.
changing
This is
the
the one with
state
the
code.
inconsistencies.
Right.
Okay.
Next is authorizes supervisor to execute time and material change order number 2, installation of water mains and appurtenances, Wellbridge Care Center, Riverhead Water District.
Appurtenances.
Next is appointment of member to the Veterans Advisory Committee. Next is award
good.
bids for senior department buses that are small, minibuses.
Cue Jim, but he's not here.
Well, it doesn't say driver.
Yeah, no, I know, yeah.
Minibus driver.
Oh, that's not political.
Okay.
5 is authorizes attendance of the New England Interstate Water Pollution Control Commission training course. 6 is terminates and release easement on those properties encumbered by easement made by Wading River Manor Associates. Jeff, could you come up for this one, please?
Where is Wading River Manor?
Wading River
Associates?
Manor is over by Landmark Realty and the
It's McDonald's.
McDonald's.
Oh, yes,
and
yes, yes,
West-
yes,
Near the-
yes, yes.
near Wake McDonald's.
Between Walgreens
It
and
is.
the
Is it
funeral
really?
home.
I'm thinking,
All of
I
those properties.
referred it out as
Like a-
Venezia,
it
the
looks like a
Venezia.
lake.
It's
properties or
inclusive
whatever.
of that.
Right,
Jeff,
Like-
that's why that name threw me.
Jeff, I read through this and I'm not understanding how we're going through this without having secret done. Because this is 5 lots, right, we're taking an action, and how are we not doing secret on this?
There will be a secret citation that I put in a note on here. The secret on this will be minor in nature because of the fact that we would be going from basically a bypass road through just cross-access easement. The bypass road is essentially a dead issue at this point because it can't function as that because the prior town board approved the McDonald's and the Walgreens, which made the bypass road And bypass road is basically a through road. There's no more ability to do a through road. It's basically gonna function as a cross-access through these properties.
Right.
So,
And Mays Farm is not going anywhere, so it
Correct.
stops right there anyway, coming
Correct.
from the west to the east.
so
I
that's.
don't see it that way. I think that a secret needs to be done on this. I'm surprised this resolution is in here without addressing that. You know, I mean, come on.
It will get done.
Yep, no, but this resolution is to terminate the easement without doing secret on it.
It'll be done before you come to
So
full
I'm
vote.
gonna pull this until
No,
the
I want it in.
No, you cannot make a resolution like this without secret, and I think this is a five lot change.
I think
In covering a lot of area, I don't think that it can get done in 5 minutes, so that it can be on there, so that the board can take a look and have a discussion about it. This is a work session where it would
This is
be
not a
discussed.
heavy lift in terms of secret. It really
No,
is
it's
not.
not. And you know what, Laura, I would
I
like
just
you
wanna
to,
say one other thing, let me finish. Even in this resolution, this was put in 1983, and then reaffirmed again by the board in 89. So there was a reaffirmation of this, and then now it's just putting in without any study of it whatsoever.
I respectfully would disagree with the statement that has not been any sort of analysis. The file in front of you shows that when I did my analysis and my reports, I did go through all the extensive background.
But that's not shared with us, we don't have that.
Yeah, don't we usually?
I
go over that?
I don't have
presented,
anything from secret. I don't have a environmental assessment form, I don't have a part one, I have nothing.
the secret is a minor part of this. I can get that done very quickly. And to say that this has not been analyzed, it's been analyzed.
Well, it
last
hasn't been
10
shared
years
with
that I'm
us,
here, it's been
but it hasn't
analyzed.
been shared with the board, who's having to
And
make this decision.
I've reviewed this with the town board on at least 2 prior occasions.
And what was the outcome then?
Um,
When was that done?
I have to pull up my notes on it. I mean,
It
when
was
was,
just- I think it
No,
was the beginning of last year.
Yeah.
And what was the outcome of that? No, prior to that, if you 2 occasions, what was the outcome?
Just get us a chronological order of
Yep.
as many times as you presented
Okay.
it to the
But this
board.
was
'cause-
before the board before about the easement,
and,
correct?
and the board is being asked again. And so,
But it has been asked and answered,
Okay.
and it was the easement, the removal
and
of
if
the
this
easement
board
was denied.
decides it doesn't wanna go
But
forward,
Jeff, I'm just asking,
I'm just providing you with my recommendation,
and I'm
and it's
asking
up
you
to
a
the board.
question, I'm asking you a
Yes.
question, it was before the board before, and the board denied the removal of the easement,
That's
correct?
not true.
I do not believe that that's
It never
accurate.
went
I
up
will
for
go
a
have to go
vote.
back and research.
It never went up for a vote because
Right,
there wasn't
kinda
support
like
for
what,
it?
Right.
right, kinda like what you're doing is saying that you want it taken out, that was done continually. And
So-
it wasn't done with the support of the entire town board, it was just never put up for a vote.
Well,
And
okay.
people were intimidated not to put it up, kinda like what I see what's happening.
No, Jody, this is a conversation, when any time a town board takes an action, you have to do secret on it. I think this is a huge action that we're taking in this town, and, we're being asked to look at a document without secret review.
Okay,
I think
and
that's-
he's told you, and you continually say, you have to listen to the department head and their expertise, and I agree in this situation too, when he's saying that it's a minor adjustment. Now, this is a study that was done in 1989 that proposed a Main Street off of 25A that would be going right through the middle of the McDonald's right now.
Well-
But the McDonald's is there, that site plan
But the
was
McDonald's
approved.
may not always be
If
there.
you can let me finish
Yeah.
now. The McDonald's was approved without consideration of that easement. So.
I think that was a mistake.
Okay, and the town has a deed of a landlocked piece of property in the middle of nowhere that would never connect to any easement. The veterinary people have been trying to build this veterinary clinic place in Wading River for the last 15 years, Jeff? When's
Which
the
they
application
can,
that
which
came
they
in?
can with the
You know what?
easement intact.
We need to stop holding people up by minutia stuff like this, that this easement is not even able to happen, and our planning director is saying that it's a minor action under SECR. So the fact that he's gonna include that in the resolution, I'm okay with the resolution going forward.
I am not comfortable as a town board member not having secret on a major action like this.
You're
I
gonna
think
have it,
removing
right,
this-
Jeff?
This easement here, I think is a big action. It affects, there's 8 lots in the whole thing. They need to be studied together.
You could do it through cross-access easement agreements where it makes sense, but where the
That's why we
easement
should
is
have the
depicted,
information.
where the easement is depicted in the 1989 study, which I have on my shelf, it cannot be accomplished in that location. But development that's occurring can be done with cross-access easement agreements, which is on this site plan, correct, Jeff?
Correct.
Well, that's why we need to have secret done to give us an analysis of all of this. If you leave the easement in place, if
Hold
you
on, I wanna
remove the
jump in.
easement.
I mean, certainly I don't wanna slow down projects, but at the same time, I never wanna bypass the secret process. That's something that we do to protect our town, and we need to really, in the past, I've seen sometimes that full secret hasn't been done, and, I don't wanna bypass that process.
Jeff, has secret been done when this application was originally submitted?
Jeff, you're gonna get some of the information back to us, right?
Now, the one thing, well,
Let's
going back to say,
confirm things.
the one thing I wanna reaffirm, to say that no analysis was done, that is incorrect. At the supervisor's request, I prepared a September 29th memo that summarized all of my analysis of this whole folder. There's your secret analysis in a nutshell.
Staff report is not a secret analysis.
They're
Jeff,
one of the
is
things.
yes or no on that?
Yes,
So you're saying a staff report is a secret analysis?
All we have to do is take the
You have the EAFs done.
all you have to do is take this information and put it into an
Jeff,
EAF, and that will be done before.
Has the EAF been given to the board?
I will get you the EAF.
Right, and
And
part
it'll
of
be part
C-
one, part two, and you have it before the end of today.
And it'll be a
Thank
negative
you.
declaration under secret
Thank you.
at the end of the day.
How do you
Perfect.
know that? If you haven't studied it yet, how are you declaring anything? I don't get that.
Here's-
I think that's irresponsible.
Okay, I'm gonna defend myself, Madam Supervisor. The analysis has been done extensively. You see the folder in front of you. I have a summarized staff report in front of you that does the review of all those issues that need to be done under secret.
And then the board should have an opportunity to have a
And you-
discussion about
And you
it.
have that, and
The
that's what
board
you're
should
doing
have an
today.
opportunity. No,
Let's-
we don't have the secret analysis. What, Jeff,
Okay.
you're asking us to have a discussion on something we don't have.
I'm gonna, you'll have the EAF part one, part two today. Part one, part two is there a large impact, moderate impact? That's
I
all
would
part one,
like to
part
see
two.
an
Can
analysis
we go over
of
the
it.
secret analysis at the
And
next work
this,
session?
and this
Do we
gonna
have to
reflect
rush
what
this
was,
resolution
what's in
through?
my September 29th report. And this provides a very concise summary of all the issues. And the planning board agrees with my recommendations, as does the Wading River Hamlet study, which is adopted as part of the town's comprehensive plan.
And that
As
was
do
just
I.
done in 2014.
Correct.
Jeff, can we just,
7 years ago, 2012.
Jeff, can we go over the secret analysis next work session? I mean, that's only a matter of a few days.
We can do it next Thursday, absolutely.
Let's do it next Thursday.
Absolutely.
And then we're
Sure.
good. Okay, let's move on,
All right.
guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Jeff.
7 is awarding bid of award printing of recreation brochure bid. Next accepts money donation for the Titan Run for Veterans Memorial Park improvements. 9 is budget adjustment, NERP Holding, Tractor Supply Company, installation of water mains and appurtenances, Riverhead Water District. 10 is authorize the supervisor to execute change order number 1, installation of water main and appurtenances, NERP Holding, Tractor, is this the same one? No, budget adjustment, okay, then it authorizes it. Next is authorize the supervisor to execute change order number 1, installation of water mains and appurtenances, Georgica Green, Riverhead Lofts, 221 East Main Street, Riverhead Water District.
Who here has ever heard of the word appurtenances before?
Well, I heard that
Yes.
10 minutes ago, I heard it.
I had to, honestly, first time I saw it, I had to go Google it and look it up,
I've
because
heard
I
it.
had no idea
I
what it
know
was.
we've
I
used
didn't
it
even know how to
before.
say it right.
Well, Jim will correct you on it every
Yeah,
time.
I know.
12 is appoints call and recreation staff to the recreation department. 13 is authorizes the fire marshal to attend a national certification conference. 14 is authorizes the release of a 1-year maintenance security of Mastro Realty in connection with the major subdivision known as map of Mastro Realty. 15 is attendance of 1 police department employee to the evidence room management training course. 16 is authorizes notice to bidders, installation of groundwater monitoring wells at various locations, Riverhead Water District. 17 is ratifies the appointment of a call-in minibus driver.
See, there you go again.
Yeah, there we go.
Jim?
Maybe you have to make that bad joke more.
Yeah.
No.
18 is amends resolution 2019, 733.
It's a little person must be.
What is this one? Amends
This is
resolution
the full-time
2019.
appointment for, this is, for Drew in the, engineering department.
Yeah, the temporary replacement for Eston.
Next is general fund budget adoption. 20 is authorizes town clerk to publish and post notice to bidders for water service materials.
Wait, what is, so general fund budget adoption?
This is to pay a consultant for an
This
EIS
is for
review.
the, project in downtown where for the review of the EIS. It's paid by the developer, and it comes through a consultant that we've hired.
So this is for, Which project?
This is for the Sears.
Bushnick
yeah.
property,
Yes.
Yep.
the old Sears property.
20 is authorizes town clerk to publish and post notice to bidders for water service materials.
Just go back to that general fund one again, that gets reimbursed to us, correct?
Correct, it's a
By
bill
the-
for,
right,
it's a
okay.
pass-through bill. 20, and that's part of what, some of the changes that we made, because prior to this, it was, sometimes, taking a very long time in-house
Right,
to
so
do,
we shipped
but
it
as
out.
part of secret, you can, have somebody, consultant from the outside do it, so that is what we have been doing. Alright, I did that one 3 times now. 21 is authorizes supervisor to execute a professional service agreement with Studio AB Architects for conversion of the Benjamin Barn to a ceramic studio. So that's very exciting, that we've been waiting, we have had a grant for the barn there to turn it into ceramic studio. We were having some difficulty, getting an architect to work through with us so
Oh,
that we
right.
could,
Dennis is
um,
doing.
yep, so we could bring it through, so I'm very happy to be able to do that. 22 is authorizes legal action against the owners, tenants, occupants of mortgage of premises located at 1050 Harrison Avenue, Riverhead, New York. That's commencing the Supreme Court action, for, a house that's not meeting town code there. 23 is a resolution ratifying bond resolution dated and duly adopted on March 19th, 2019. 24 is pledges a $5,000 match to DEC Recycling Education Grant.
Who's
Twen-
that going to?
25 is authorizes the town clerk to publish and post a notice of public hearing considering a proposed local law for the amendment of chapter 273 entitled Waste, Article 2, Solid Waste Generated at Residents Located Within the Solid Waste, District. 26 is authorized the supervisor to execute agreement with, Souza Saka Training, LLC for training and referee services for the town of Riverhead Police Athletic League Girls and Boys Soccer Program for 2019 calendar year.
Don't you miss going to that, Tim?
I'm sorry?
Don't you miss that?
Yes, I do, I definitely miss PAO, I love that.
27 is Calverton Sewer District budget transfer. 28 is authorizes the supervisor to execute an agreement with the Riverhead, Business Improvement District Management Association regarding 2019 calendar year events and services, non-pro-tunc. That was the events they had through through their budget process. And 29 is Highway Department budget transfer.
You have one that I
29
gave
and
you, and then here's another one, the personnel one.
And then the other one is, that's not there, is, authorizes to reject bids and rebid for charter, coach transportation for 2019-20. That is, we had, one of the bids was, there was a question about one of the bids, so it'd just be rebid. And the next is, what is this one?
That was the personnel issue we had talked about, it's
Good.
Okay, so this is, I don't know how to even read this, this is amends resolution 2019, 603.
Back to the pledges, back to number 24.
We got this in email.
Pledges a $5,000 match to DEC Recycling Education Grant. Where did this come from?
I was trying to look for that, I saw that in here.
I believe the match, I checked with Dawn on this, I believe it's coming from the Vermont Recycling Fund in order to get another $5,000.
I understand that, but it has to be used for something, yes? So this came from the CDA?
The CDA wrote this resolution, correct? I mean, we can get additional information for the board if you would like.
So the DEC is offering a grant to municipalities to provide recycling education in local towns and villages, which will include the following types of recycling educational. We're doing all this.
Do you wanna ask just Dawn, she
Yeah,
wants to understand
yeah.
with Drew?
Please see if she's available for a minute.
Looks like they're just beefing it up. I know we had some of the, we had incorrect things on the website.
Yeah, but
Website
that's
was
not gonna,
incorrect.
but that's not gonna cost $5,000 from the recycling fund and $5,000 from the state in order to fix the website.
Monthly promotion.
I wanna know
I
what
think
was,
this
I wanna
is-
know what we're spending the $10,000 on.
But lists everything here.
Yeah, but that's not $10,000 worth of stuff in there for me.
I don't know, it's got mailers.
Well, let's find out, they'll, But-
She's not available at the moment, but I can, if you guys have questions, you wanna tell me, I'll email her and then we can get the information
Okay.
back to you.
Yeah,
and I
if
think actually the information probably needs to come from Drew,
Yeah, I wanna see the
because I
budget.
think this is,
Okay. See a budget for the $10,000?
Yeah.
Okay. So that'll be Drew and, CDS?
yes, correct.
Sounds good.
Because we're working with the county on a county recycling program. So the county was applying to the state for grant funding in order to put out a uniform message for all the towns. So I don't know that us acting unilaterally from the county makes a lot of sense when we should be coming out with a uniform message on recycling.
Well, that's what this seems like. It seems like it's, but we'll find out. But it's, the county is coordinating with the municipalities to participate in the consortium, in this grant opportunity. So I don't know if each town is participating as a group to then be able to disseminate the information in their municipality. So we'll get more information on that.
Sounds good.
All right?
Yep.
That's it, I believe. And so we'll close the work session. We have nothing for exec then.
No, we do.
We do?
Oh, don't get excited.
Almost.
Says we have exactly.
Personnel, we have three.
Here, you have this stuff.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Yep.
I just read the contractual one and I'm like, okay, we're done.
Okay.
Could I have a first and second to go into executive session, matters surrounding the promotion of an employee, matters surrounding the hiring of an employee, and matters surrounding the hiring of a employee?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Opposed? Nobody opposing? So carried.